Gary Vee, influential businessman, has a really crazy take on AI. He says that your grandkids, our grandkids, will marry AI robots. How should we as Christians think about this? That's a really good question. So I want to walk us through a couple of scriptures that should inform the way that we think of this, and then think about some of the ways that this is not a good thing, some of the negative outcomes that are going to come from this. But let's have a look at what Gary Vee says.
What are your top 3 most insane AI predictions?
That your grandkids will marry an AI human.
And what's your conviction level on that?
100%.
That they're going to marry an
That
AI?
your grandchild is going to marry an AI human.
So this is what we've been talking about. I think people are going to have relationships, fully AI boyfriend, girlfriends. I think it's going to be indistinguishable.
You mean Megan Fox, right? The thing like from that movie, you saw that?
No.
On Netflix? Like the AI
Are you
robot.
talking about she or her or
Not
whatever
her,
it is?
not that one. There was a Megan Fox one that just came out. Nonetheless, they're all the same. I believe a robot that is fully AI will marry a human and vice versa for real in your lifetime at scale.
And when you say an AI, does that mean like a physical body of a
Yes.
robot? So you're saying that the bodies will get so good that it will look like
Yes.
you and like I could.
I don't know if you know this, but
I'm going to stop it there. Let's start talking about dolls. If you're a Christian, you're probably a little bit disturbed by that. If you're not a Christian, you're probably also a little disturbed by it, because I think it comes into like how God created us to be as humans, what God created marriage to be. And so hopefully like going through this video is going to put maybe some clarity on exactly what it is that we're uncomfortable with, and maybe put some concepts into your head that you're like, okay, I can understand why I'm uncomfortable with this, and then bring it forward and use these tools to think about all sorts of different aspects of AI. Before we get into the stuff, by the way, let me just say hello. I'm Andrew. I make videos about the Bible and how that shapes the way that we view culture and the world. So if you're into that, then consider subscribing. So as I said, we're going to look at the Bible. We're going to look at Genesis chapter 1 and 2. And then just from that, I'm going to throw out like a couple of negative outcomes that I think would come from people marrying AI. So let's look at Genesis 1 and 2. So here we have the creation of the world. And what I really love in this, it's really cool. God created the world. He created a physical, material world, and it's good. It's going to be restored one day. That's a difference between Christianity and other religions, that God is in the business of restoring the world rather than just bringing us up spiritually into some sort of disembodied heaven. And we see this from the beginning, because in Genesis 1, God says, let there be light, and there was light. God saw that the light was good. Everything else that he makes the expanse, and it was so, separates the sea from the waters. Verse 4, God saw that it was good. You go through like everything that God makes, he says, it's good, it is good, it's good. The Hebrew word there is tov. But look at this here, in chapter 2, verse 18, God says, it is not good that man should be alone. It's not good. That's the first thing. Like, God has made this good world. Over everything he's made, he said, it's good, it's good, it's good. He makes humans, and he's like, they're very good. But whenever chapter 2 sort of like zooms in on what the creation of humans looked like, the specifics and a bit more detail in that, God says it's not good that man should be alone. And so clearly humans need other humans, because Adam had God at that stage. He could have walked and talked with God, but he needed another human, someone like him. And so whenever we get to in chapter 2 verse 18, you see here God says, I will make a helper for him. The helper becomes Eve. The Hebrew word there is etzer. E-Z-E-R is the like transliteration of it. And helper sounds a little bit like degrading, but it's actually a really strong word that is used more commonly, like it's most commonly used of God to describe what God does for the people of Israel throughout the Old Testament. It's someone who does for you what you can't do for yourself. And so Eve had this amazing position of coming in and working alongside Adam to do what they were supposed to do. And whenever Adam sees her, look what he says. This is chapter 2, verse 23. God has made her. He breaks into song, into poetry. He said, this at last. Like, I love that. At last, it's like I've tried hanging out with all the animals. Doesn't cut it. Finally, here's another human. Like, at last, this is bone of my bones and flesh of my flesh. It's really hard to say. She shall be called woman, because she was taken out of man. Adam sees in her someone like himself, but different. Bone of my bones, flesh of my flesh. That relational longing that he had, that relational longing that God recognized as not good, Adam sees the fulfillment of that and the satisfaction of that in Eve, because he says, this is someone who's like me, but different. This is a helper. And on a like philosophical level, this reflects the very essence and nature of God. God is Trinity. He's triune, Father, Son, Holy Spirit. Whenever you're talking about the Trinity, it's really easy to fall into like heresy, like accidentally say something that is like, oh, if you apply that really specifically, it is technically heresy. God is three persons, not like three people, not three parts. He's Father, Son, Holy Spirit, one God. The Father and the Son and the Spirit, they're different from each other, but they're the same, and they have this relationship with each other. And so we as humans made in the image of God, we also are made for relationship. Like that's reflected in the way that God made us. And so this isn't, chapter 2 verse 23, the relationship between Adam and Eve isn't just about like a romantic or a sexual thing. It's a meeting of humans. It's a one person's, like a connection of one whole person to another whole person. The ability to love someone who is like yourself but different. Speaking like going specifically on marriage though, into marriage, in Ephesians 5 we see Paul write, husbands, love your wives as Christ loved the church and gave himself up for her. The relationship between a husband and wife is to be one of love. But unlike like with AI, with the robot, you can't love a robot, because what we see in Adam and Eve is a meeting of two people who are similar but different. Whenever we have a human and a robot, like they're totally different things. These are different categories. They have a different nature. One is created by humans, the other is created by God. It's not the same. And so we're not able to love robots. We might not we, hopefully, people might feel a sense, like feel as if they love the robot, but it's not actually love. All of this, I guess, comes down to if like saying that we're going to marry robots is a fundamental change in the way that we view marriage and what we think marriage actually is. We've seen precedent for this with same-sex marriages, that it becomes a relationship between two people. People have said for a long time, oh, like, what about marrying rocks and stuff? I don't think that was the realistic consequence. I think marrying robots is much more likely to be the thing that people say, okay, well, this seems like a human. You talk to this robot, you ask, like, are you human? Like, it interacts in a human-like way, so why can I not marry it? I think that is the logical next step of where we're going as a culture whenever we like change how we understand marriage compared with how God defined marriage. But like, we as humans are more than just minds. I think whenever you come from a really like rationalistic worldview, the assumption there is that we are minds in these like flesh cages, I guess. And so you could possibly upload your mind to a computer and live on or live forever. And then if you can create a mind, that doesn't matter if it's in a physical body or an engineered body, it might look like a body. We as humans are not robots. We are sexed, embodied creatures made by God in his image. And so we need to be really careful doing anything, I guess, especially marriage, that tries to blur or eradicate the line between human and robot, because there is a line. Now, I promised you, I think I said a couple. I'll give you two negative outcomes of like how this would be really detrimental for society if like marrying AI robots was to be a thing. The first thing is that it reduces relationships, romantic relationships specifically, but that's going to spill over into like platonic relationships. It reduces relationships to something transactional. It's about you. It's for you. You get out of it what you want. Because if this robot is here to serve your needs, to satisfy you, to meet the desires and wants that you have, then real relationships are going to be less appealing. Because in a real relationship, you have two people with sometimes agreeing, sometimes conflicting desires. In that instance where there are conflicting desires, you've got to come to some sort of compromise. You've got to work together. But if you've just got a robot, if that's your wife or your best friend, the robot doesn't have needs. It doesn't have desires other than what is programmed into it. And so, for example, say you have a child and the child wakes up at 6 a.m. and you both went to bed like late last night, or you're both really tired. Neither of you want to get up. Speaking from experience, neither of you want to get up. And so you've got to weigh up, okay, like, are you off work today? Are you really tired? How did you sleep the night before? What does your day look like? And there's a level of compromise and sacrifice that you think, okay, I'll get up, I'll be the one to go and do it, or you can get up, you be the one to go and do it. There's give and take there because it's a relationship and you have to think of the other person. Whereas if it's a robot, you just say, on you go, like, you go, give the child their breakfast. Once those relationships start to be more commonplace, I think people will find real relationship much more difficult because it's not transactional. It's not centered on the self. You're going to have two people with conflicting wants and desires. That sort of spills into the second one, which is similar but different, and that is that in a real relationship, there is like a sort of stretching that happens, and it comes through those moments of conflict, those moments of conflicting desire or need, where, like for example, in my marriage, my wife has helped me to become, I think, a better person in a lot of ways. I hope that I've helped her to become a better person in a lot of ways. But the way that happens, the challenges and the rebuke at times, or the various means and tools of that are not comfortable. It's not a comfortable thing to grow in patience, but it is a good thing. If we have a relationship with a robot though, like, are you going to take that from a robot? If a robot says, look, you're being selfish here, you need to stop putting your needs before everybody else's, and you need to like grow up a little bit, you're not going to take that. Do you know, you can just about take that from another person who you really love because it challenges you, it makes you uncomfortable. If you can just say like a command phrase to a robot and be like, stop, like, eradicate that thought, you're going to do it. There's probably like a million other ways that a relationship with an AI robot is going to be detrimental to like actual relationships. If you have any further thoughts, like, let me know in the comments. I would love to hear. This is something I think about every day. I'm really concerned about the way that AI is going, and I think this is something that occurred to me much later than it should have. We should probably be praying over this, that God would be guiding and directing AI into a way that is beneficial and helpful for humans, and into a direction where it's a tool for human flourishing rather than becoming a crutch that we rely on and then lose the ability to use our relational legs. We lose the ability to do all of these amazing things. So let me know your thoughts. I'd love to hear them. Thank you for being here, and I'll see you soon. God bless.